Jema, welcome. So today we continue with the Satsanga that we first started looking at last week around this concept of the observer, the Sakshi. So to give a little orientation, we've been on a journey over the past few months with these concepts, and where we've landed up today means that when we started, we first looked at samsara. Acharya Shunya defined for us what is samsara. And it was this subjective individual reality that we ourselves are constructing in our minds, moment to moment to moment. And in that construction and in that living inside of that subjective reality, we often encounter suffering. And we also looked at what is, okay, so if that's samsara and that's constantly changing and that's unique to me, then what is not samsara? What is then truly an ultimate reality? And so Acharya Shunya brought us through an exploration of the concept of Brahman, of that ultimate reality that is Satyam, that is truth, meaning it stays constant and consistent through the past, through the present, through the future, which is unlike anything else we encounter in our samsara experience. That Brahman is jnanam, it's conscious, it's aware, it is deeply present, and it's anantam, it's unending, it never began, it never ends. So it's vast, it's conscious, and it's pervasive, and it's consistent throughout all phases of time. This is what Brahman is. So then she brought in a new layer to this question. Now we have what then is this thing I'm experiencing that feels so temporary? And why did I even get wrapped up in what feels so confusing? If Brahman is my true nature, how come I really can't even hardly entertain that idea? How come that idea, if it's my ultimate truth, feels so far away that I can't just hear about it and know it? Someone tells me you have a deeper reality. How come I can't just know it? And so here we encounter the concept of Maya. And Maya is that power, this incredible capacity that Brahman has to conceal itself from us, to conceal this identity of Brahman truth from us. It has a concealing quality and also an ability to project sometimes it's called an illusion, but we can say it's a projection, a photo, an image of a different kind of reality. And this is what Maya is, this very fluid and changing capacity that Brahman has to hide itself from us and project something different. And so in that play, we get fully invested. We get fully invested in that Maya. And we think that we are, in fact, separate from some spiritual truth, from some universal oneness. We think we are fully an individual. So we feel we're compartmentalized. So we are cut off from our vast essence. In theory, we are never actually cut off, but we feel and believe that we are cut off. And we are invested in the reality in front of us. And here, that was when we reached that point in our journey, it landed a little hard with us, didn't it? It caused us to question a lot of everything we encounter and experience outside of us. So then, the gentle invitation that Acharya Shunya gave to us was, let us now remember, how can we then reconnect? How can we now remember this presence within? And what is that presence? And so we were introduced to the concept of Sakshi, the observer. We're told from the Advaita Vedanta teachings that Acharya Shunya shares in her Satsangas that there is this presence inside of us that is just simply watching, simply observing. It itself is untouched and unchanged. but it's seeing all the fluctuations that are happening inside of Maya. And so today, in this same teaching on Sakshi, Acharya Shunya continues to take us a little more deeply into the exploration of what is the implication when we do come back to the observer. And this Satsanga recording today, it's just 15 minutes. It's a shorter selection. But I chose to keep it as a shorter selection to review, because if we allow this invitation and we allow ourselves to really entertain the possibility of coming back to our observer self, when we again gaze out into the Maya world, when we again look at the samsara that we're creating in our minds constantly, it's a very different kind of engagement, radically different. So I invite you to let these compact 15 minutes of satsanga, let them land within you. And we'll follow our same format for this, where we will hear the satsanga. We'll then spend 5 minutes in silent contemplation together. And during that time, we will keep connecting in and asking ourselves, what new truth is now clear within me from what I've just heard? And then we'll have time to come together and explore and share and discuss where this knowledge is taking us individually. And before we begin, I want to just mention that in this satsanga, she references at the beginning a text which you may or may not be familiar with. So I thought I'll just tell you what it is. She mentions this series called the Sadhana Chatushtayam. This is it's a very well-known set of teachings, but it is a traditional teachings that take us on this journey to get us ready in body, in mind, in heart, to awaken to our ultimate spiritual reality. It's a series, Sadhana Chatushtayam is a series of sequential steps that help us hone our thoughts, our speech, our actions, so that we become a vessel that is not only worthy to encounter self-knowledge, but also when that self-knowledge pours into us from a teacher, we are able to receive it. We're able to hold it. So she references this, and the first step of the Sadhana Chatushtayam is viveka, is discrimination. And you may be familiar with this word too. So here she references viveka, and that's that discrimination, that discernment. It's that practice we have that asks us to keep questioning our thoughts, our desires, our impulses, our reactions, our observations, our assumptions. It asks us to keep asking inside of ourselves, is this truth? Is this ultimate truth I'm feeling, seeing, encountering? Or is this an appearance of truth? We keep asking ourselves, is this ultimate? Am I encountering ultimate reality here? Or is this a projection of samsara, of mithya, of Maya? So we're constantly, the practice, the sadhana, is to constantly discern between what is Brahman, what is Maya, and it softens our attachments to this ephemeral, sensory, ego-based set of beliefs and wants. And eventually, in that process, as we continue to discern, an organic desire for freedom from samsara just naturally emerges, and our path deepens at that time. So in this satsanga, Acharya Shunya briefly mentions this practice of viveka, discrimination. And what I've just described is the common understanding of viveka, of discernment. And she's bringing that concept into this inquiry of, am I the actor or am I the Sakshi, the presence? In our last satsanga, she talked about these kind of two identities we carry. One is of the actor, the ego active in the world, and the other is the Sakshi, who is simply observing in motionless and silent awareness and full presence. So this discernment is what she's referring to in this satsanga, between the actor and the Sakshi. So this felt good information to have as we dive in to this satsanga. So I'll now invite us to begin with the satsanga, and let's take it forward, and then we will have our 5 minutes of silent contemplation afterward. So Kalyani, when you're ready, you can please share the video. Kalyani, I believe the video is not coming yet here. Would you mind stopping and resharing? Thank you. Yes, thank you. You can play it.
So, based on these perceptions, we spend a bulk of our lives. We spend time figuring out, what should be our relationship, what should be our profession, instead of trying to wake up. Because those perceptions never give us a complete package. Okay? So instead, now we go to what Vedanta is saying, that hone your discrimination. And so we have the concept of sadhana chatushtayam. And the same sadhana chatushtayam remains with you for the rest of your life. Okay. And what the start teachings and the end teachings completely differ based on as you go deeper and deeper. I mean, there's a basic teaching that we are giving you. But now you can understand, Aparna, that probably then Viveka for you and me then is to say, wait, is the actor deciding this? Am I asleep? Or is my presence? Is there presence? Am I altering this dream through my presence? Ali, am I in bondage of the dream? Or through my presence, I'm allowing the dream? My presence is the observer presence. See, it's an advanced teaching, but you can understand, and you will now find why, then what is satyam then? What is truth? Truth cannot come from the senses. That is why when I am feeling something very strongly, happy or sorrow, first of all, I rarely feel so strongly nowadays. But if I did, and I feel strongly towards it, then that's the experience of the actor. Actor is invested. Actor gets arteriosclerosis. Actor gets heart attacks. Actor has anxiety. Actor has control. And actor wants to win and compete. The observer allows. So therefore, our sensory perceptions and the world of judgments that we've created of love and hate, raga, dvesha, attraction, repulsion, all of that, they are actually feeding into the awakening dream. Do you see that now? Do you see that? Yeah. So our senses look at how others are achieving, and it feeds into the dream of, I want to achieve too, and I'm less than them. When our senses look at others who are suffering, we say, I want to save them because I can. But it is some kind of a dream, the sufferer's dream of tamas, the conquest dream of rajas, or the savior's goodness dream of sattva. But a dream is a dream is a dream. We prefer sattva, but it's a dream. This is the one and only spirituality which says, wake up even from goodness. Goodness is great, it's a great start. Wake up from it. It is still a dream. This is a powerful teaching. That is why Advaita Vedanta gets maximum respect and maximum mockery from other sects in India. Because Advaita Vedantins, or the Sakshis, the observers, they are neither meditating away because they now understand that you can only meditate so much in a dream. Better to wake up from it completely. They are not doing bhajan, 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 chanting, 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 because, yeah, I mean, it's a nice way to spend the dream. But nobody chanting, you can just chant away and create a whole dream around chanting. Chanting instruments, chanting lobby, chanting hotel, chanting support group, chanting Facebook, chanting Twitter, chanting Instagram, chant, chant, chant. I'm all for chanting. I chant. But in Advaita Vedanta, we are willing to wake up to reality. We're not interested in this. It's not the ultimate. So we are not going on pilgrimages, though we enjoy the pilgrimage. Whereas other religions, sects, they seem to have a lot of substance. Here is what we do. And in Advaita Vedanta, we say, here is what I understand. That this is my student, but this is the actor student of the Acharya Shunya. So how invested then is this relationship? Because once I become an observer, I don't see him separate. My observer becomes bigger and bigger and bigger. My observer is as big, I can hold the whole universe in it. Then what a special relationship I have only with this person. Are you with me? It's very serious. I'm teaching you the heart of the teaching here. It's as important as to know the one existence, Brahman, but more important is to understand the magic play of Maya and to find yourself out of it. Further, then, I have to say it. You may find me using social media, but most times it's my assistant using it with my name. So I'm not clicking and liking and sending you thumbs ups. That is Julie. However, whatever time I spend on it or I enjoy on it. But you see, social media, you can see how much people lead an entire virtual life. So it's a dream within a dream within a dream. So all these things take us further and further away from the observer's self. And the actor becomes entrenched. And we not only have actor bios, we now have digital bios. We are our words, what describes who we are, our profile. And we live up to it. So it's more and more invitation for the actor to remain asleep and for the actor to run around and to not wake up. So this is the play of Maya. And because of Maya, the actor, it's happening. Don't ask me why. It's you witness it in the dream. I am witnessing to you. I am telling you, your teacher, that this too is a dream. This is not, you have to wake up from it. So don't take it too seriously. Even birth and death, so-called, are experiences happening in this dream. There is no birth and death. So you see little babies coming in and some people checking out. It's all happening in the dream. Okay. So, so just like we go from awake world, and this actor goes from awake to dream, yeah, then deep sleep, then awakes again, right? So is the actor making these journeys in consciousness? Yeah, in dream consciousness? Is that happening? Similarly, one time, that's what happens. Just wakes up in another womb. Oops, a tadpole womb. No, oops, happy to be tadpole. Want to stay a tadpole. This dream is about being a tadpole, man. I'm going to be the best tadpole ever. I'm connected to my tadpole dharma. This is it. Tadpole. That's it. I'm the Brahmin. I'm the white guy. I'm the yellow. I represent the browns. That's what it is. It's nothing but tadpole stuff speaking. Tadpole, tadpole, tadpole. That's it. That's it. Okay? So the mamakara, ahamkara, I, mine is equally vested in the tadpole. I've been watching nature. You should watch it. All the nature, animals also, a lot of ego battles. You know, this sampradaya versus that sampradaya. It's huge. Okay? Why? Because the actor comes in tadpole body, actor comes in leopard body, actor comes in human body. And behaves still like a tadpole. So it's okay. You know what's a tadpole, right? Okay. I thought in case I made it up. I don't know. So very interesting. Very interesting. In fact, when we are our day-to-day movement in this awake consciousness, right? The actor, it is said that it is in the realm of the earth. And then we are in dream, the astral, the dream in the dream, right? Dreaming in the dream gets very intensified, and we say that we are in the realm of the moon. And then when we are in deep, deep sleep, we start having a dream within the realm of the sun. So we're like roaming through the universe according to the Upanishads, or consciousness. So when we're awake, we say, no, I have never been to the moon. Only those two gentlemen, who were they? Armstrong and who were the two people who went to moon? Everybody knows Armstrong. What a karma. They both went up together, but one put the foot down first. See how impermanent, how world forget. Here's one person who went to the moon, but we forgot him. So this is the nature of this Maya, okay? So anyway, so we say, I've never been to the moon, but we all go to the moon and dream. We're in that realm, astral realm. And then in deep sleep, we are in the universe of the sun, actually. That is why if we are able to deep sleep, if we wake up with bliss, do we not? Yeah, do we not? And if we don't, you don't know the importance of deep sleep until you don't deep sleep. When you don't deep sleep is when your entire actor falls apart and your inability to reach your observer. Complete shattering of doshas, gunas, and your ojas, immunity, and disconnect between observer and actor to this level that collapse. It's like death if you don't deep sleep. Arjuna, you will agree. But if you deep sleep, you get renewal because you go to the loka of sun. So it's all very interesting. Please, there's no sun. Go to the loka. It's all here within you, this whole universe. Advaita is really pulling you out there. So the outermost superficial your consciousness, earth. Midway, dream, moon. In deeper, sun. You actually get all the vitality, vibrance. Even the most terminally sick person, if they get a good night's sleep, their parameters are better because they have connected with Surya. Okay. So these are sojourns in the formless causal realms with sun. Okay. So we are awake, we dream, we sleep, we die, we wake up. Birth. They're all changes in consciousness. So and each day, what about birth and death after 70 years, 80 years as we are used? Every day we have a symbolic death and a birth, according to Upanishad. So it says that when we go into deep sleep, we actually die that night. We actually do. Every day we leave something behind. And every day we wake up new. And I would ask you to really enjoy that death every night if you are getting deep sleep. And you wake up and start again. Start trying to wake up in the awake dream. But all of it is a dream.
So we will now have our silent contemplation on this satsanga. So I invite you, if your environment allows, you're welcome to unmute yourself so we can be in silence, but together. And set aside your journal, set aside your drawing items. Just simply be with your own knowingness. Allow the words of the satsanga we received that entered through your ears to echo and reverberate inside of your being. Mind wanders, gently bring it back with the question of what was meant for me to hear in this satsanga. Of all the ideas we heard, what landed and now has become your knowingness? What new area of inner inquiry has opened up with these teachings? Stay with the breath and allow those teachings to sink a little more deeply into your conscious awareness. Let them soak into your being a little further. In our final 1 minute of contemplation, perhaps bring some words to what insight has arisen for you most strongly. What is that one reminder, that one new knowing that you have? Gently bring your awareness back to your body, back to the room around you. If you'd like, you can rub your palms together and generate some warmth. Place those palms on your eyes or your throat, your head, your heart, your belly, anywhere that feels grounding. And if your eyes are closed, you're welcome to open them. I invite you to again mute yourself as we get ready to have our conversation together. Mm. So what we've just experienced is a practice that we can all use to receive a teaching and then just let it work its way through us. So a lot of times we hear a satsanga and then we want to intellectualize it and keep it up here in our upper head. And silence, whether you're watching videos on your own or whether we're live in these sessions, silence allows that to kind of sift its way down through your being. And in that sifting, what happens is our ignorances, our confusions, our very ego-based thinking, kind of things get knocked loose and kind of wash away. And in that silence, the knowingness, our inner truth emerges more and more. So this is a practice you can use anytime in your self-study as a mananam. This is what mananam is. Hearing the satsanga or reading the book, that's shruti, that's hearing, that's consuming and receiving teachings, but the mananam happens in a silent of our own heart. So this is an experience of that today. So now, I invite if anyone would like to share an insight that came up for them or share a bit about an experience that emerged for them as they heard those teachings, as they sat in silence. I'll open the floor now. If there's anything someone would like to share, you're very, very welcome. Did anyone feel, I'm seeing from all of your faces, you look relaxed, but a bit inward. I'm feeling a bit of an inwardness, which is beautiful, which is wonderful. James, I see your hand. Can you unmute yourself, dear?
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, this was interesting because if you just, for me anyway, if you listen to the her discussion, in a sense, I had this sense of hopelessness that I'm a bad actor. I'm surrounded by Maya. I'm immersed in it. I'm a slave of the senses. It's kind of, so that was one perspective. And I remember someone said, realizing the hopelessness of everything, I felt as if a great burden was lifted from my shoulders. so, so that was one part. The other part, of course, is that, which I enjoyed, is this this distinction of the discrimination, because we know the discrimination is different from, or the intellect is different from the mind, because the discrimination can move through different scenarios to determine what is true. And so, whereas the mind can only move through different situations, it can't discriminate. And we spend a lot of time with the mind. So, what it brought up for me was, okay, I really want to develop the discrimination. And I think we probably do that through obviously listening to these topics, probably doing our meditation, applying the principles that we're receiving. So in a sense, we're kind of sharpening the knife of the discrimination, because I think to progress, the discrimination has to be satisfied. If the discrimination is not satisfied about something, then I think that becomes a barrier for us to actually, to progress. I think also I enjoyed is this, that we're not the senses, we're not the mind, we're not the senses. So that means that when I'm enjoying a good meal, it's actually the senses that are enjoying a good meal. It's not the self, it's not the witness, because the witness is untouched. And that's kind of interesting, because sometimes I like to go to San Diego. I have no reason to go to San Diego, but I go because I like the smell of the air. I like the atmosphere. So that's just to please the senses. So I'm spending this money just to please the senses. And that raises the question of, am I mindful in how I'm pleasing the senses? I think, and I've said this before, but it's a great realization to know that we have to experience this, because we only know who we are by that which we are not. So we have to have all these different experiences to actually get closer to who we are. But also, this Maya is everywhere. So everything, I'm just speaking for myself, but everything is Maya. And so I'm thinking there has to be some evolution in our consciousness where we can actually be in the Maya and enjoy it and see it, but we're not overwhelmed by it. And that we actually see that there is something more. So I'm looking at a chair, for example. So there's something more than that chair. It's not just that chair. And then the inquiry would be, what actually is that more? And just based on our discussions, then that more would have to be consciousness. It would have to be Brahman, in a hidden form and in a limited form. So I love this. This is a whole. I feel as if I've been. Someone's picking you up and shaking you. Listen to me. Do you realize what you're doing? So I really enjoyed it, and I hope I haven't spoken too long, but I really appreciate having the opportunity to share it. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, James. Yes. Are others feeling a resonance with the being shaken up? Yeah, these satsangas shake up who we are and what we think this world is made up of. Yeah. And it can, in that shaking up process, it can feel like a hopelessness of despair of like, well, what's the point of all this anyway? You know, there can be a what is that word? Existential crisis that happens. But in that, the antidote to the existential crisis is the discernment, which is saying, let me come back to that. Yeah, all of this does seem a bit pointless. As she kind of says, like, how much work and effort do I want to put into this world of samsara, really? So the surface layer reading is because it's pointless. But then the deeper layer reading is, oh, but as I kind of extricate myself from it a bit, I discover this inner presence, which is vast. And I think that's the other part of it too, is the observer is not smaller than Maya. Like you said, how do I enjoy Maya but not be overwhelmed by it? So we find that that presence is vast. And so in that play of discernment brings us in touch with this vastness. Yes, beautiful. Thank you, James, for your reflections. Yeah. Kayla, let's hear from you.
Thank you. Thanks, James. Can you hear me okay? Okay. Well, the first thing I was struck with was, I mean, the main thing was that the sun is within me. And in the Sovereign Self course, there's one of the videos where she recommends, or Shunya ji recommends, greeting the sun every day with your arms out and imagining the sun inside of you. And so that I got it, and so then I was like, oh, the sun is within my body. And that is staying in there, like it's in my consciousness and it's within me. And then in response to what James was saying in the conversation we were just having, I got to attend the Lakshmi retreat at Kripalu. And so what's also in my mind is that like the 4 sacred arms of Lakshmi are Dharma. What's your Dharma? Like, what are you doing in the world? Artha, abundance, kama, pleasure, and moksha, this like sacred relationship with yourself. So that the part of me that wants to get all meta and be like, well, it's all whatever, so what matters about the world anyway, comes back to the like, well, no, we are in the world, and experiencing pleasure is like a duty, and our dharma in the world is also our duty, because we do have, I mean, I'm new to all of this, so I'm just riffing, but we do happen to be here, and we do happen to be inside of the world. So that's how at least I'm just putting those 2 things next to each other and remembering, like, don't space out and act like the physical world doesn't matter either, because like Lakshmi, like pleasure and your work here, those were said as being important. So I'm holding on to both and like looking forward to understanding better how they all work with each other.
Thank you, Kayla. Yeah. And there's another part of Mananam where we receive a satsanga, and then what's in our consciousness of this and in our consciousness from that. And now suddenly they integrate in a new way. And now you're thinking, okay, now let me explore it from this new perspective. So yeah, thank you for sharing what you're pulling together. It's beautiful. Zaina, would you like to share with us?
Hey, hi everybody. I think after I had a difficult experience on social media, I'm in my 40s and it feels ridiculous that that's even happening. But um, what she was saying about, I mean, she was talking about like the actor, right? And it's like these virtual bios and the ways that we kind of like, the persona that we project, with all of like the flourishy, like language, projecting who we want to be in the world, how we want to be seen, and these kind of like these constructs that we create. And I don't know, maybe the value, that like humans think, maybe I'll just speak for myself, like the value that I think it gives to me, or the worthiness, or the visibility. And I was just thinking about like, there's this kind of like obsession with becoming, like acquiring and like in becoming, more than, what I am or more than what we are. Um, and it was, I guess, maybe what was coming up for me is like thinking about how whatever fancy bio I can write, um, is so maybe like so actually small and trivial in comparison to like the truth of the self. Um, that I'm over here managing and editing and like, wanting to be seen and trying to construct like this whole like persona to be seen as something that's like so valuable and so big. And yet there's actually something that's so much more true and authentic and real and lasting and eternal, that if I could actually remember that, it would outshine anything that I could ever put in a social media bio or like, so I was just, it just reminds me as like humans we can like kind of be like fighting over crumbs and there's like a feast if we just like turn our heads or turn our bodies. There's actually like this whole amazing table of like things, and I'm over here in the corner, like like fighting over like a piece of bread that somebody's like bitten into and stepped on. And I'm really obsessed with like keeping that piece of bread. So it just it kind of reminds me of that.
Yes. Yes, you beautifully described the breathless pursuit of the ego, of our small self, the actor self inside of samsara. And what you're alluding to is one of the incredible things when we examine social media is it is such a like one-to-one analogy for this self-constructed personality inside of a collective, a self-constructed virtual reality. And the message here is yes, see social media for that. And even in the waking world where we're existing, we're doing that exact same thing. Like that's just kind of a reflection of what we're doing. And so that's what lands for me is it's so clear when we look at it with social media from a stepped back perspective. Now, in my waking world where I'm a mother and I'm a teacher and I'm a neighbor and I'm a wife and I'm all these things, that's also, and that's the shakeup she's offering us, is that's also a virtually constructed samsara reality. It's also crumbs, like you're saying, which is that's something to now look at the world that way. And the one word she used in this satsanga was that the actor, I can't remember the word she used, but the actor like strives and achieves and does all those things, but the observer allows. The observer allows. And so I love that as the juxtaposition of the answer is not let me stop trying or let me now just call it all foolish and disengage. But how can I touch that inner being, that presence inside of me that is allowing this projection to emerge? And that's game changing. That's consciousness shifting. I see it for its struggle and its tussle. And now let me touch the part of me that is just allowing it to exist, allowing it to have temporary reality, but just allowing. And so that's part of the discernment too. I know this isn't directly what you said, Zaina, but it brought up that word allow, the observer allows. I wanted to bring that forward also. Sakshi, did you have your hand raised? Yes. Yes.
What really struck me with Shunyaji's talk was when she was saying to wake up to reality, and that just really hit me tonight. I tend to think in my own mind that I need to wake up to enlightenment, and they're two different things. To wake up to reality is something that when I think about it and feel that, it is something that is more sweet. Um, and I can still be in this body, in this life, and the relationships that I have. But I have woken up to the reality of who I am. So that really struck me tonight. And the other thing is that when Shunyaji said, when you're in deep sleep, that you're in that surya. I don't know if that's considered a state or, and for me, it's almost hearing that for the first time. So I really, that just struck me tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Sakshi. Yeah, that cycle of sleep. And the next, when we look at the final piece of this satsanga, she goes even more deeply into those states of consciousness. So we have more exploration coming in that at the end of this month. Yeah, but that it's like an inner journey from the earthly to the moon realm, which is like the astral realm, and then the sun, which is like the causal realm. And we just sleep is just tucking ourselves back in. Yeah, beautiful. There's a few shares inside of the chat as well. I want to acknowledge Lakshmi shares. Thank you, referencing what James had shared in the beginning. Your San Diego story spoke to me about having the mananam to see just how much we are doing things to please the senses. So yeah. And Kayla also says, in response to the allowing, she says, and when you allow life to just be what it is, an illusion, for me, it's actually easier to access the feeling of pleasure. Yes, David, thank you for bringing this. This was something that hit me hard too from this satsanga, which is goodness is still a dream. Wake up even from that. Yeah. The impulse to be good and do good and be seen as good, that's also engaging. Preferred, she says, preferred, but still it's inside of the dream. It's not the ultimate reality. Yeah. Appreciation for you bringing that back up. So I invite you to keep coming back to this satsanga, because this, but all of them that we've encountered in this Key Vedanta concept series, they are shaking us up. And as she said, even in this one, they're stretching us. This Advaita Vedanta teachings, they're really turning our identity, our sense of reality into a silly putty and stretching us in new directions. And that is good to have compassion with ourselves. It's good to have patience with ourselves. In that process, remembering we are timeless, so there's no real rush. Yeah. Any final thoughts or shares anyone wants to bring forward for today? There's another share in the chat. I could also relate to James's share. I was just in London with all the shiny, pretty things and luscious experiences. And these teachings help me to enjoy it, knowing that it's Maya. And it feels like I'm watching a movie that I can smell and taste in. Yes, and referencing what Kayla said also, when we step back, we're able to enjoying with detachment. It's easier to enjoy somehow the texture of that enjoyment with a little spaciousness between the objects that we're enjoying. It's very different. It's very different. Yeah. Also hearing Nancy shares, this too shall pass. I really resonated with James today, felt the hopelessness. Yeah. Thank you for that vulnerability of the hopelessness. This is
It's funny.
yeah, Cheryl,
Oh,
please.
it's Cheryl. Yeah. I just want to say that I stuck a little bit on the thing about good. I think if we allow the good to move through us and not identify as the good one or anything like that, I think it's a natural unfolding of the universe. When the thing about yin yang balance and just this, I don't know. I think that I'm struggling with that one a little bit. Maybe she was making that point that if we're not identifying with doing good acts, but just allowing the goodness to flow through us, I guess you already made that distinction.
Yeah, thank you, Cheryl. Yeah. So there is an aspect of allowing auspiciousness, allowing goodness, allowing light to flow through us. When she used that word goodness, she was referring to sattva. So here,
Yeah.
so
Oh,
I'm just
okay.
bringing this as another lens through which to look at it, that even it's easy to see how tamas is a guna that we want to kind of calm and put in its place, because tamas has that heaviness, that darkness, that inertia, which has a physiological and a physics-based need inside of Maya, inside of um, this projection. We need some things with heaviness, stability, to be still, for there to be creation. We need some activity, rajas. So we need that activating, that active, that moving, that inspired, that, like that agitated. Sometimes we need it, but it also easily goes overboard. So we also want to calm that. And that's also easy to see. We want to kind of calm that also. But then we look at sattva. And it's very easy for us as spiritual seekers trying to do and be the best we can. We think sattva is the ultimate. Okay, then let me just cultivate sattva. Let me fill everything with light. Let me be goodness. Let me follow all my deeper values. And she's saying, yes, 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 do that. Do that. Then also in that process, say, there's an ultimate reality beyond these three gunas, which is the Sakshi, which is the observer, which is not mixed and mingled with these gunas of rajas and tamas and sattva. Even though sattva is preferred, even though sattva maximally reflects the pure consciousness of the Sakshi, and so we prefer it, it's not the ultimate reality. So that's another distinction to add to your mananam contemplation about waking up from the goodness and also allowing goodness, but also seeing it in this larger context. Yeah. Parisa, would you like to add something here?
Yes, actually, based on what we have heard in other satsangs, something just clicked for me regarding this issue of goodness, cultivating sattva. I somehow just now came to the understanding that when I grasp the identity of a sattvic person, it again underlines the separation. And I think what Shunyaji wanted us to contemplate upon is that when we go to the Sakshi, to the observer, when we identify with that Sakshi is the same among us, because Sakshi Atma is one with Brahman. So this is just something it clicked for me just now. I need to contemplate on it, but because it was related to what you explained, Sadhvi Shani, I just wanted to say thank you.
Thank you, Parisa. Yes, exactly. Even though sattva is shining and full of goodness, it is still part of Maya. It's still part of that, like you say, that separation. And we are still tempted to identify ourselves as a good person, as a, with that quality. But we're being invited to cultivate it so that our mind is capable of doing this discernment, of entertaining these thoughts, of showing up for satsanga, so that we wake up. Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful. So as we continue to contemplate our sensory connections and seeing them from a little bit of a distance, as we continue to contemplate that small death we experience each night of deep sleep and then re-emerging back into this waking dream, let us not feel overwhelmed. Let us hold the light of awareness of this may feel hopeless, but it feels futile because there is this greater truth. And we may not be fully aware of that presence yet, moment to moment. That Sakshi may feel far away, but it's the closest thing within us. And it's waiting to be discovered. That whole universe is within you, as she says. So let us close for today. Our next 2 weeks inside of the Vedic Study Circle have some beautiful, unique sessions coming. There'll be one on cultivating sattva. So you will see how we say we are waking up from the goodness while at the same time doing everything we can to cultivate sattva. So next week will be a valuable session to connect these. And also the third week of this month, we're connecting with Lakshmi Devi teachings. So we'll be exploring some of those aspects. And then the fourth Tuesday this month, we'll come back and hear the conclusion of this satsanga and go deeper into those 4 states of consciousness that happen through our sleep. So this month, so much ahead of us. So Jima, thank you all for your presence.